As we all know, Tom Brady can be seen as a pretty stand-up guy, but sometimes he snaps and he brings some disrespect. Which ones were the craziest? At this point, everybody knows the Tom Brady story. A former 6th-round pick out of the University of Michigan, who has since turned himself into the unquestionable GOAT of the NFL, and possibly all of the sports. And shocking as it is that he fell so far in the draft way back when, he may have that tumble to thank for at least some of his success. It seems like it put an enormous chip on his shoulder, and the fierce competitive nature that came along with the chip has turned to a man who has started off as a middling quarterback prospect into the greatest to ever do it. Brady rarely fired the first shot, but throughout the years there have been a number of guys that went down as collateral damage as a result of Brady imposing his competitive will on the rest of the league. Let's take a look back at 10 times Tom Brady disrespected another NFL player. Tyron Matthew. You would think that a fellow draft slider like Tyron Matthew would have some more respect for a guy that helped to carve the path. But the two had a heated exchange that carried into the weeks following their meeting at Super Bowl 50. The incident started when Matthew was flagged for a taunting penalty, bizarrely following a Buccaneers touchdown. Immediately after Brady connected with wide receiver Antonio Brown for a key touchdown to make the score 21-6. The Chiefs safety charged Brady and started chirping him. Brady was utterly unwilling to let the Honey Badger get the final word off, and he chased after him, likely to fire his own slew of insults. And the two sides ended up in a growing scrum. Fortunately, the referees were able to break up the fight, but both sides were none too pleased. The Bucs were already up 15 points, but the way that Brady shredded the Chiefs' defense for the remainder of the game en route to his 7th Super Bowl victory, perhaps Matthew wishes he followed a different course of action. The narrative did get a little murky in the weeks following the game, when Matthew wrote in a since-deleted tweet. He called me something I won't repeat, but yeah, I'll let all the media throw me under the bus as if I did something or said something to him.
The exchange you and Brady had earlier in the game, what was exchanged between you guys, and how did that affect your play the rest of the game?
I don't think it affected my play at all. I thought I played as hard as I can today. Listen, Tom Brady's a great quarterback. I never really saw that side of Tom Brady, to be honest. But whatever, no comment. It's over with. I'm done with it.
It was a scary inference that was thankfully diffused. Patrick Mahomes. Tyron Matthew was not the only member of the Kansas City Chiefs to get disrespected by TB12, despite being the heir apparent to Brady's reign of terror on NFL defenses. Patrick Mahomes is not immune to the shade that Brady loves to toss around, especially when he feels like someone is questioning his greatness, which people have shockingly hurried to do when it comes to analyzing the two quarterbacks' career resumes. Despite them being both impressive, are impossible to compare at this point, but all of that was in the media. It wasn't until after the Super Bowl meeting that the two actually had the chance to go at one another. It all started when Kansas City Royals catcher Salvador Perez was photographed wearing a Brady jersey before the game with the Tampa Bay Rays. He had lost a bet on the Super Bowl with Rays outfielder Brett Phillips, and disrespecting his city's quarterback was part of the punishment. The photo quickly made the rounds on social media, and it even got the attention of the two quarterbacks. Of course, the two were being a little bit tongue-in-cheek about the whole thing, but it is hard to imagine that their competitive juices were flowing a little bit, even if it was just on Twitter. Nick Foles. Mahomes may be the best of the lot, but he is certainly not the only quarterback to end up on the wrong side of TB12. Take Nick Foles, for example. His Chicago Bears defeated Brady and the Buccaneers in a Week 5 matchup, which included a bizarre, embarrassing incident for Brady, in which he forgot how many downs there were on a failed attempt at a game-winning drive. Perhaps suffering from PTSD after losing another important game at the hands of Nick Foles, Brady decided to forego the post-game handshakes and ran straight into the locker room. Fans were quick to point out that he had pulled a very similar stunt following his shocking Super Bowl defeat at the hands of Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles. Social media promptly exploded with memes and commentary on the disrespect. Brady tried to downplay it afterwards. But let's be honest, there is always a reason behind everything he does. And we have seen him shake many other quarterbacks' hands after victories and defeats. Jared Goff. Speaking of other quarterbacks who Brady has had no problem blowing off, how about Jared Goff? Another young QB that he met in the Super Bowl with vastly different results. This one took place after another brutal loss during the 2020 regular season. The Buccaneers lost to Goff and the LA Rams by a score of 27-24, and Goff made his way to midfield to look for Brady following the game. But he was nowhere to be found. Now, Brady likely does not have the same sort of animosity towards Goff, who he bested in their Super Bowl matchup just a few years earlier. But even so, Brady is a fierce competitor, And at this point in the Bucs season, things were not exactly going along swimmingly. So it's not shocking that he decided to snub Goff after another tough loss. Anthony Smith. While Brady clearly has a petty side, as illustrated by his run-ins or lack thereof with Foles and Goff, he also has a vengeful streak to his competitive nature. Anytime he is questioned, challenged, or stepped to, he's always sure to deliver a memorable performance. Like when Anthony Smith decided to guarantee a victory against Brady and his high-flying New England Patriots offense. In 2007, no less.
What gives you the confidence to go out and guarantee a win in a game like this?
The guys I'm playing with, you know, we got a great D-line, great linebacker core.
Anthony Smith played defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers from 2006 to 2008, after Pittsburgh selected him with their third-round pick in the 06 draft. And while he had some nice moments during his career, let's be honest, he's really nothing more than a footnote in the story of the NFL. So maybe, just maybe, he should have treaded just a bit more lightly on this one. You know, especially considering the fact that he was leading his team up against a 12-0 Patriots that would go down as one of the single best offensive units of all time. And maybe mentally he was just trying to be in the zone or something, but geez. Unfortunately for Smith and the Steelers, Brady and the rest of that nearly unstoppable offensive unit appeared to, as Michael Jordan would say, take it personal. The game started off close, but the Pats continued to execute on a game plan that seemed designed to pick on Smith specifically.
Brady wanting to go long. Gaffney's waiting for it. Gaffney is in for the touchdown right over Anthony Smith.
And they slowly but surely blew the game wide open, winning by a final score of 34-13. Brady went on to complete 32 of his 46 pass attempts for 399 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. And Smith? Well, Smith was benched for the rest of the season in favor of Tyron Carter, and his career never really recovered. It's kind of tough to bounce back when you not only botch your guarantee, but you then get embarrassed on a personal level and let Tom Brady scream in your face during the game. Overall, just a tough look for Anthony Smith. Alfonzo Smith. Anthony was not the only defensive back to make the mistake of testing Tom's competitive spirit. In fact, he was not even the only Smith to do it either. Alfonzo Smith, no relation, who played for the Denver Broncos and then the Detroit Lions, also made the fateful mistake of poking the bear. The Lions had just traded for Smith ahead of the 2010 season, and he started making an impact early, notching 5 interceptions through his first 12 games. So he felt ready for the test on Thanksgiving when the New England Patriots rolled into town. The moment of truth for Smith came at the beginning of the second half with the Detroit Lions surprisingly up 17-10. Brady's offense was struggling to move the ball, and on a 2nd and 10 early in the drive, Smith made a nice play to break up a screen play Brady was trying to set up. His only mistake, going way too far out of his way to let Brady know about it. Smith strutted over towards Brady, wagging his finger in his face, something that Brady clearly did not appreciate. TB12 went on to absolutely torch Smith for 2 big play touchdowns, as he had led the Pats to a comeback 42-24 victory.
He's got the time to go long, and he's got a wide open Smith. Can he stop a touchdown this time, or is he going to be beat for the 3rd time? He's beaten again.
It was so bad that Smith legitimately got benched. Just a brutal turn of events for the Lions defensive back. Brady really showed him. John Harbaugh. Say what you will about the guys like Alfonzo and Anthony Smith, who ended up on the wrong side of Tom Brady's disrespect for a game, or what is essentially a blip on the radar in the future Hall of Famer's career. But there are some other characters whose consistent meddling has garnered true disrespect from Tom Brady that has spanned the bulk of his career, like John Harbaugh, the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, who has had a number of hard-fought matchups with Brady over the years. The conflict between these two did not stem from something that happened directly on the field, but rather comments that Harbaugh and Brady made back and forth in the media. One of the early catalysts was a game in which Harbaugh felt that Brady and Belichick were deploying illegal formations on the offensive side of the ball. Harbaugh got so pissed off that he actually stormed on the field and caught an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Harbaugh went on to question the legality during his post-game presser.
Yeah, we want an opportunity to be able to ID who the eligible players were. Because what they were doing was they would announce the eligible player, then Tom would take him to the line right away and snap the ball before we had a chance to even figure out who was lined up where. And that was the deception part of it. It was clearly deception. So the officials told me after that they would give us the opportunity to do that, which they probably should have done during that series, but they didn't really understand what was happening. That's why I had to go take the penalty to get their attention so that they would understand what was going on, because they didn't understand what was going on. And they said that was the right thing, that they would give us a chance to ID the eligible receiver so that we could actually get them covered. That's why guys were open, because we couldn't ID where the eligible receivers were at. So that's the nature of that particular thing they were doing. That's what made it so difficult.
Do you consider that cheap or dirty?
I'm not going to comment on that.
And Brady took a nice shot back at him by suggesting maybe those guys gotta study the rule book and figure it out. A masterful troll job by Tom. Simple, to the point, and effective. Mike Vrabel. Vrabel is a former teammate of Brady's, but he is not immune to catching the smoke. He, like Harbaugh, got it as a coach and not a player. After Brady and the Patriots ended up on the wrong side of a meaningless blowout at the hands of Vrabel's Titans, New England's quarterback took note of their overzealous celebration. And once the Titans were eliminated from postseason contention after losing a do-or-die game in Week 17 against the Colts, while Brady went on to win another ring, he decided to troll Vrabel by issuing him a cheap trophy with the score of their meaningless regular season game. Sheesh! Wow. I don't know about you, but this might be my favorite Brady story so far. Oh, that's just wild.
I don't think it's appropriate for me to speak about that private moment, but it was a nice gesture from me to him, and hopefully he appreciates it.
The Mannings. There are some other good ones though, like his ongoing feud with the Manning brothers, Peyton and Eli. There was time that he decided to troll Peyton on Halloween, poking fun at his aging process, and the countless shots they took at one another during their pay-per-view golf event.
Yep, for the half. Ooh. That's a gift. Okay.
I definitely would have made that one.
And the back and forth he had with Eli, in which Brady reminded the world Eli hardly ever showed up until the fourth quarter. Either way, it's always an entertaining scene when Brady goes at it with the Manning brothers. Too bad he couldn't win those Super Bowls though. Dallas Cowboys. While the Manning brothers are NFL royalty, the Dallas Cowboys are a damned institution in the league. But that did not stop them from ending up on the wrong side of some Tom Brady disrespect as well. During a 2019 matchup between the two sides in which Brady had the ball late with his team up, he broke out a new snap count specifically designed to troll the Cowboys. He started yelling "Bowl 96" in his pre-snap cadence, an apparent shot at the Cowboys considering the last time they won the Super Bowl was all the way back in 1996.
Gold 96! Gold 96!
I can't imagine that the ever-prideful Jerry Jones was all too pleased with this slight. Which do you think was the most ruthless instance of Tom Brady disrespecting another player, coach, or team in the NFL? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day is a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching, and Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knees.